Yo, yo, what is up? What is up, everybody? It is me, Mike V, here at the Loft 419, hanging out. Going to work on building curriculum from with AI from idea to course. And let's go ahead and we'll just hang out here for a little bit. Get started over at 6 o'clock. Got about 4 minutes to do that. Let me go ahead and I'll drop in my LinkedIn link here. That's where you'll find me. That's where I have the most conversations, especially for this stuff that I'm doing here. Here we go. There we go. Connect with me on LinkedIn. That's going to be the best place. That's where I'm sharing a whole bunch of stuff around course design, course development. Boom, shalak, lock, boom. So say hi if you're here. Boom, 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 boom. Why can I not? Oh, there we go. I can start. Here we go, and say hello in the chat. Hello. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So a few things that we'll work on today will be building some course content, see exactly what we're going to do, depending on who shows up. We shall see, we shall see. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. Review the folder content so you have a good idea of what we're working with before we get started. Do that. And we won't be here long if nobody shows up, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and share my screen so we're ready to get started. Share screen. We'll just go ahead and share that entire screen right there. Let's not worry about audio at this point.
Let me spot check actual lesson content depth and glance at the tooling.
Here we go. Hit share. Boom, shlock, lock, boom. There you go. Maybe we should switch the view up here a little bit. Not that one. Let's go overflow. There we go. There we go. There we go. And I will move this bad boy right here over to the left side of the screen. That's cool for now. All right, 2 more minutes. 2 minutes till showtime, folks. 2 minutes till showtime. Two minutes to showtime. All right. So it is 6:59. What you're seeing over, or 5:59 Eastern time. What you're seeing right here is Claude. If you're not familiar with Claude Cowork and Claude in the command line interface, I'm going to be using Claude in the command line interface, folks, because this is, in all honesty, the #1 tool that I think everyone needs to start using in order to be able to build with AI. The command line is something that some people don't understand, especially if you have not had any exposure or experience with it. Those of us that are my age, 50, and have been playing with computers for a good long time, when we first started working with computers 30 years ago, the only way to really get a computer to do what you wanted it to do was to type in commands into the command line. So this was before Windows, before we had the ability to click and drag and do things. If you wanted to work with a computer, communicate to a computer, you did it by typing in something like this here. Let me go ahead and actually bring that up. In what's affectionately known as the command line interface, I can type commands in here. So how do I make the command the terminal text larger. I'm going to ask a question to Claude. I could probably look this up with Google. Yeah, I'm burning tokens here, but whatever. So the manual OS shortcut is, hey, there we go. We got some bigger text now. Nice.
I've reviewed the folder. Here's what we are working with. Forge, a prompt to course production factory, what it is. A domain agnostic system that takes one prompt and drives it through governed, independently verifiable stages into a fully designed, content complete, deploy ready course. It's a factory, this repo, that produces courses, each published as its own standalone public repo. The 3 layers and their gates anchor, stage 0, a human approved, locked charter, the single source of truth. Everything downstream is checked against it. Design, stages 1 to 6. Charter curriculum outline, if multi-course, course outline lesson outlines, lesson source content. 2 verification gates, stage 3, charter alignment, no gaps orphans, and stage 6 content verification, 3-way charter left-right arrow outline left-right arrow source alignment. Production, stages 7 to 13. Scaffold produce slide SCORM code, conditional, deploy publish. Not yet built, planned for wave 2. 2 interim tools stand in, init course repo JS, build site JS. Track profiles, track profile YAML, toggle optional stages per course. Skips are recorded explicitly, never silently omitted. Governance is strict charter breaks ties, then outline. Every long-lived doc carries front matter, a do not update without a GitHub issue banner, and a change log. Issue per change, branches never main, closes hashtag X commits. There are 7 issue templates and 8 process.
So let's go ahead here and talk about what was just happening. I'm using Claude in the command line, and I'm able to interact and create files, edit files, do things with files through the command line. We'll see that here as I work. And why am I using the command line? Well, because it is the closest to the source for communicating with a computer that the most of us are able to. Bear with me here 1 second. Sorry about this. So the command line is how we're typing commands to get the computer to do what we want it to do. Why am I doing this and why am I using this with AI? Because the difference between myself and others and people like me who are building with AI, we're using AI to build tools and processes and not just generate an output. We're using tools to create agents and workflows to actually get work done, to try to make these AI tools a little bit more deterministic, aka we can be more predictable. Will provide more predictable outputs. So if we look at this folder here, I'm going to start with this Claude MD file. I'm going to be introducing a whole bunch of different terms to you here today, and I do apologize for that, but sometimes you just have to go in deep here, for lack of a better way to say it. So this markdown file, an MD file as we call it, is one that uses some highlighting here and identification of parts of the text to indicate headings and lists and things like that. So this is what the code looks like, this .md file. It's opened up here in a program called VS Code. That's what a lot of developers will use a tool like this, what's called an integrated development environment, an IDE. An IDE is just a place for you to edit text. It fits into the ecosystem as the tool that has a whole bunch of things built into it that allow you to do your work a little bit faster as a developer. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and click this button, this preview button here, I believe, and this will actually show us over here on the right side. This is actually what this document says. So here's the code, right? The code, and this is what the code looks like translated, aka rendered. So this Forge is what I'm calling this tool that I've built. This is the operating guide for this tool, and this file tells an agent how to run the system. So what I'm building here with AI is a system for doing things. So there's a charter. This is authoritative once approved. There are outlines, there are design folder documents, and there's a production and deploy tree. So when we build a course, typically we take a course, either description, maybe some grouping of learning outcomes, a syllabus, something, and we're going to generate the course content from that. We don't want to let just AI just run and build all of the everything. What we want to do is generate the content quickly and then go through and review it. And this system that I built has done this. So when we are running a course, we'll start from a prompt. We create this charter, and the charter is what we're agreeing to build, basically. And then this will also populate a tracking profile YAML file. So again, a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need to know, but understand that this YAML file here, if I can find it, where would it be? Where would it be? If I don't know, I can always ask, but let's go through and look at this folder here. All right, we've got our charter for the history of technology course. That's awesome. We've got this history of technology course, and there is the tracking profile YAML file. I click on this. You'll see YAML is just another file type for organizing information. Specifically here, this has some details about the course itself. Sometimes when we're building a curriculum or a collection of courses, is it code bearing? Does it have labs? Does it have slides, SCORM packages? This YAML file really is tracking what our course has in order for us to be able to leverage our tools. So when we talk about what we're doing with AI, we want to communicate with AI to build code. Well, we're going to use code then to better communicate with our AI. So again, some of this overview here is probably more than most folks will need, but I want you to start to understand these tools, these files, these things that developers have used for years to organize information and distribute information, because these are the tools that we're going to use inside of curriculum development, right? Curriculum development is a process, and we will use the computer, we'll use AI to work us through that process. One of the things that I've witnessed as a person building curriculum is keeping track of things can be tough, especially if you're doing multiple courses. You maybe put something down for a day, a week, a month, and come back. All of these files here help us keep our process and understanding in order. It also does the same thing for the AI that we're working with. Again, I'm using Claude in the command line here in order to make this happen. So there's that YAML file. So as part of this course process, we start from a charter, which is basically agreeing this is what we're going to build. We track that course build with this YAML file. We make sure that the charter is human approved. Everything that we do here is human approved. Yes, we're using AI to help us create, but with a human in the loop being the reviewer, subject matter expert reviewing this. Sometimes we'll have some stuff disabled in that YAML file, things that we're not going to build. Those get recorded as skipped. They're never silently omitted. So this helps us not forget things, right? Each course with that profile, the tools and our specifications will read that. This is something else that's super important here when we look at what we're building. Inside of our docs here, we do have specs, and this spec, I'll open this up, this markdown file, I'll take another look, and things will get a little gross here, but we can always close these and take a look. So this is the documentation file where Forge, the tool that we're using, goes from a generic prompt seeded course production into all of the everything that we need, from the premise of what this thing is, its goals, the architecture, the history, how we keep track of the source of truth, the different phases of building the charter, creating the charter, tracking the work. Here's the pipeline. You can hear the sirens. We're downtown here. This is a 7-stage, more than that, 13-stage pipeline of curriculum/course development. If it's a curriculum, which is a collection of courses, we obviously want to have that understanding, and we create a syllabus from that. Each course that we create starts after the charter tells us kind of what we're looking to build. Maybe it's a job description, maybe it's, again, tied to LOs or an existing syllabus. Then we create the course outline, and then that course outline is what we use and approve and says, this is what we're going to build. One of the tools that I have woven into a lot of the AI agents that I build is a verification system. So AI is a great entry-level employee. AI also sometimes does go off the rails. So this charter alignment verification is something that checks the standard to the outline. Once the outline is approved, then we build our lesson outline. So within the course outline, there's lessons. After that, these lesson outlines get created. Once the outlines are approved, then we build out the full source material. That lesson source will include not just the content itself of the topic, but also includes assignment instructions, study guides, anything else, interactives, anything else that we might need to make a robust course. Once that content is created, there's a step that will verify that content versus the standard and the charter. Content development phase 1, this is the content scaffolding and content production. These two work together in order to take our lesson source, which will be a single document with all the everything, and then the content scaffolding and the content production is what breaks it out into its parts. So then you have the lesson text, you have the exercise, you have the interactive, you have all those other things. If we're building something with code, then we have a code migration, which creates our starter and solution code for us. Then we do our slide deck production. Then we package our interactive files into SCORMs. Then we are able to deploy this. I'm deploying the content through GitHub. We'll see what that looks like in a second. And then at the very end, we check all of this stuff. Here's some rules on governance. Here's the tools that we'll use. Basically, this is all of the design documentation that we're going to use in order to build robust courses. All right. Probably more than enough for everybody, but what happens where we get to as part of this process? Let's go ahead and close this down. We get to, let me go over to my friend GitHub here. If you haven't used GitHub, GitHub is really just a cloud-based solution for storing files. I have my own Vanderpool teacher GitHub account here. There's me, hello. I have a whole bunch of repositories. I've been doing a whole bunch of game development, everything else. I also have a course that I'm working on right now. This is what we'll play with a little bit here, the history of design. Don't have to worry too much about GitHub. I'll have some more information on that. This is just me for demonstration purposes here. I can go to the pages, and the contents of this folder are now presented here on the web through traditional HTML files. And this is my course, beautiful thing, history of technology. So I use this tool to create these files. You can see here index lesson 1, lesson 2, all the way through lesson 17. There's a CSS file which helps with the styling. These files here on the left, these are what we are viewing on the right. All of this content was generated by AI using a couple things that I'm not going to show you, but the templates that I've created, instructional design references, pulling from experiential learning, problem-based learning, words are hard, Merrill's first principles, the framework that I've used and developed for how to explain technology, start with what it is, then what it does, and how it fits into the wider ecosystem. So all of these lessons here, all 17 of them, if we click on one, you're going to see that they are all heavily text-based right now. And that's what I'm going to encourage everyone to start with, because if these words are correct, if these words are what you're trying to get your point across to your students, and you can see here, here's the activity instructions all rolled up into one document. Right now, we have not run the breakout yet. And then we've got quiz topics. If all of this stuff is good here, then one of the things that we're going to be able to do is we can take this source that we've created, reviewed, maybe made some updates to, and then we can take this and turn this into the content then, or the additional content, right? Some of these things, maybe images would be a nice thing for us to have. So without talking too much, let's go ahead and create something here, right? So I have this history of technology, one pager, front page. And it's fairly short here, right? 4 paragraphs. I want to go ahead and I'd like to create some images for this course. My recommendation is you'll read stuff on prompt engineering, all of these other things. Leverage the tool to do some of the thinking for you by just starting with a broad generalization of what you want to do, and then you can get into a little bit more of the specifics. These things do take a while to do their work. We have to understand that that's how this thing works here. A lot of things going on here underneath the hood. What's happening is our text that we enter is turned into what's called tokens. Those tokens then are run through a large language model in order to understand what's being asked. That's then turned into code. That's then an input. Then code is returned as an output. Tokens translation comes back to us as English here. So this is one of the things that's really, really nice about using Claude is it's back and forth. So what do we want? We'll want some explanatory, that's a big word, diagrams. We'll want some timeline and charts. There we go. We'll go ahead and do all of those and see what happens here. You should read all of this, folks. I have read more and critically thought more now than ever using these AI tools because, one, I don't trust AI. This is interesting. There's no image assets. That's cool. It's all entirely text. I don't have a photo illustration generator wired in. That's fine. We're going to use ChatGPT for that. It can author some vector graphics. That's awesome. Photorealistic, we'll have to use some external tools. We'll see if we can actually use ChatGPT from here. But now I've agreed those are the things that I want to make. I'm going to hit submit. And where are we going to start with image generation? We don't just want to say, hey, give me an image of a timeline of the history of technology. Number one, if we do that, then we're going to get a random version of whatever the tool thinks that we want, whatever the AI thinks that we want. One of the most foundational pieces for you to go from generating with AI to building with AI is to develop design documents, standards, things all around what you're doing here in order to make things more repeatable. What does that mean for us with image generation? Well, image generation, then same size, same look and feel, so everything looks cohesive, right? So here we go, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do something. We're going to chat about this. And now I've wired in this tool. If you do /voice, there's a whole bunch.
What would you like to clarify? Happy to unpack any of it. For instance, Weather Pilot 1 lesson.
And I'm going to hit escape because I don't need my AI always talking back to me. But if we do this voice, then this will toggle voice mode on and off. But right now it's turned on. I'm able to hit the space bar and talk to my computer, right? So here we go. Let's go ahead and set up our style guide for images first. And we'll do that with an image for the history of technology page. What we'll want to do is show a timeline. So this would be a vector image and not necessarily a photographic image, but let's make sure that we have a standard specification for all images, and these vector graphics will be the first ones that we add to it. So this is where human in the loop comes in, right? History of technology, 300 years ago, yada, yada. We're going to look at this course. It's going to go through the pre-industrial age background, industrial revolution, mass production, computing revolution, internet age, AI in the present, and some case studies for a capstone. The best visual that we could present right now, I would argue, is the visual of that timeline to help us give some general reference, right? If we're going to talk about the history of anything, I think it's important not just to present the history, but its relationship to now. So if we do that, I think the best way here is with the timeline. I could ask the AI what it thinks, and we might just actually do that, but we'll see what happens here, right? So that's a clear, sensible plan. And this is me reading what the AI is telling me. A standing image specification for the whole course with a landing page, timeline, vector. SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. If you want to learn more about vector graphics, come take classes with me at Defiance College. One important finding before design, it changes how we integrate the image. Build-site.js is a JavaScript file regenerates index HTML and style CSS from scratch in every run, and it embeds no images. The landing page's intro text is pulled from the outline. There we go, through Pandoc, which is a software that converts documents from one form to another. So if I just hand drop an SVG into index.html, the next site build silently wipes it. Okay. For the timeline to live on the page durably, the integration has to go through the source build path, not the deploy tree. That's a solvable design question and a small in-scope improvement to the interim tool, and I'll fold it into the design. All right, so our process right now will recreate everything and does not have images as part of it. So what we're going to have to do is the image there that we're creating has to be a step in our process. So the time content, I think this is cool, right? 1750, 1780, 1870. There we go. I think that's fine. We'll see what it wants to spit out here. And then we will specifically give it instructions to where the image layer is going to be an additional layer that we put on process that we can invoke almost at any time, but here we're doing it at the end. So let's go ahead and create image generation as a process that also updates the source. Now, what will happen here is we're going to create a process with a set of instructions, and that set of instructions then our tool will be able to reference that set of instructions. Our AI will be able to reference that set of instructions, again, understanding exactly what we're trying to create, our rules for creating it, and then can be repeatable, more deterministic, right? With AI, let's say we create images today in ChatGPT, and then we wait 2 weeks and create another image, and it may or may not use that same style, depending on what its flavor of the month is. So we get a whole bunch of text here. And again, this is where reading is fundamental.
One important finding before design, it changes how we...
And critically thinking, right? So let's go and create, oh, sorry. Sometimes when you stop the text from speaking, you run into, you'll hit escape to make it stop speaking, and it stops the tool from going forward. So not usually a big deal. I just mute my computer, but not doing that right now. So here we go. Here is our course image system. This is the design it wants to do. Image specification, a long-lived document with a do not banner and a change log up at the top. Why is it creating that? Because one of the things that I've asked my AI to do, I believe in my Claude MD file, which is the core instructions, it says to add that banner, do not update at the top, and also keeps a change log of how documents evolve over time. So one of the most coolest things with AI and what we're able to do is we're able to make self-documenting systems. It's pretty powerful, because when we think about the systems that we create and the stuff that we're trying to do, the human brain can only handle so much, the AI brain can only handle so much, but building out a system then that enforces documentation along the way, super powerful, right? So scope to what we need now, SVG first, color. Here we go. We can adjust a style guide with colors if we need to later. There we go, our typeface. We'll use the system, text, accessibility. Every image carries the role image, title, description. That's great. We'll have to make sure, a text alternative nearby. That's great. Accessibility with text images should no longer be a thing with AI if we wire our AI correctly in order to add alternative text for screen readers and the like to read our text. If you want to talk about accessibility and how we can easily, quickly update our existing content to meet accessibility standards, definitely hit me up on LinkedIn with that link over there. All right. So the first image, timeline errors, SVG. Cool, there's the content, there's the form, there's the placement. It will be responsive, that's fine. Integration, the builder clobber fix. The build clobber fix, this is where building would wipe out clobber what we had previously. If the course design assets hero SVG exists, inline it into the landing page at build time so it survives every build. Asset copy. All right, we'll have to reference this because this might not exactly work like we want it to. But that's why when we're working with these tools, we do things in a slow, stepwise fashion, thinking through from beginning to end. So there's the deliverables. We're going to have a spec. We'll have the SVG, and then we will run this thing and see what happens. So here we go. That's a meaningful step up, and it fits Forge's whole philosophy. Image production becomes a governed process. Oh, hey, is that my hi? We'll leave that down. A governed process, right? What does that mean? It's got rules, right? So a source of truth that flows into its producers, not a one-off, which you're describing is essentially standing up the first production layer process. That's sweet, sweet, sweet. All right, so now here we go. The source right back. This is what it wants to do. It's going to create an images YAML file, which will be the ID, the file, the alternate text, the placement, and the license. I love that. It's going to create the image, and then we'll all be in an assets folder. Let's go, let's go. We can hit enter here. This is why I like working with the command line, because it is so direct and simple. Yes, you could do the same thing with Claude code. And I'll show you what that looks like here real fast. Maybe, baby. Claude. Right, so this is Claude as your desktop app. This is a tool that I would suggest everyone start using. I pay the $20 a month plus for Claude, so I do have access to code and some of these other things like a scheduler that cleans up my desktop every morning for me. So lots of things here that you can do with Claude, but we're going to skip that now because we're going to focus on kind of the general overview of what's happening here in this course. So here we go. Here we go. Let's take a look at our files again. So we have our curricula. That folder is empty. There's nothing there. We've got our specs. Our image generation spec should show up in here, I believe. Our process documents, right? This is our charter alignment, our charter creation, content verification, course overview, course outline, curriculum design, lesson outline. Every bit of work that we do here or ask the AI to do is well defined. That's what's most important, right? I have spent so much time building out the documentation for how this works. And that may feel slow for some. I just want this stuff. I want my lesson. I want my whole everything. That's great if you want a one-off. But what I'm building here is a complete graphic design curriculum. And this is foundational and important that we get this stuff set up right here. Our process is set up right. So one, there's consistency, accuracy within what we're working here and asking AI to do. All right, so now it's going to write the consolidated design spec. This is another thing. So if I go into docs and superpowers, and here's specs here, this design document that's being written right now, and this is a markdown file here, this is the course image system. This is the process. I guess it's a fair way to say that. These are the instructions that AI tool and I are going to agree to for building this thing. So it says
self-review otherwise clean, no placeholders.
It says what our goal is. It's got our locked decisions here. So I'm going to read this and review this to make sure everything is copacetic. Cool, cool, cool. There's our image. This is great. That's all just basically the data around images is being stored for us. Here is our inline syntax. Sweet, I love that. That works. Basically, that's code that our computer is going to use to pull in the images. Image production process. We plan it, generate it, register, and verify it. Awesome. Look how much information here that we have for our computer AI to do what we want it to do. I'm not going to read through this 100% right now. I mean, I skimmed it. You don't always have to read all of everything, but I'm skimming it because we made all of those decisions. And now I'll say approved. So these superpowers and these specs and everything here within the documentation are things that the computer, the AI, will reference when building. It's also, if we wanted to make a change to this process, we would then be able to change some of these specs and process documents. Again, in order to be able to, best way to say it, make them repeatable. All right, all right. So all I'm going to do here tonight is just generate this first image, since the live is not so lively. But that's okay, folks. You'll be able to pick this up on the internet, right? On the YouTube. More than anything else, I just want to start helping people, and I think maybe seeing what's possible is just as important as being able to do the things. You can learn how to do the things once you have some awareness about what's possible. That's the one thing I've noticed a lot with a whole bunch of folks when it comes to using AI is they don't necessarily understand what AI can do, so they don't even know how to prompt. So then they take a prompt engineering class, and more than anything else, all you need to do is just start playing, just start talking. I learned a lot of this from building games. I learned a lot of this from copying over what I had done as a process in order for building curriculum, and then really talking and walking through it in order to build out this tool here that created what I'm going to argue. So I've been going through and I've been reading every line of this content, and it's pretty robust, pretty accurate. I have made changes. One thing that I do have in here in this tool for building is also something that will run review passes to verify. AI will make things up based on just how it works. That's what AI is doing. It's basically making things up as it predicts what the next logical word is in order to meet your request based on what it has inside of its limited context window, for lack of a better way to say it. And it sometimes will go off the rails, but if you ask it specifically to do a review and say, hey, make sure this is all factual, make sure this can be tracked, provide a list of references if needed. You know, if I was doing something that was not so general or generally accessible knowledge, I probably put in more citations and things like that. But you know, this content here in history from 100 years ago, maybe not as necessary for us to do that. Some people would argue yes. I could always do that. Now AI and the idea of plagiarism and sources, that's a much bigger conversation than one I have today. But so who owns this? Personally, I don't care. It's general knowledge that's accessible that I could have spent hours and days and months tracking down myself. Would that have been the best use of my time? No, my best use of my time is talking to kids and help them understand this stuff. But I do want to make sure that this is as accurate as possible, which is why I did build in those reviews. This stuff does take a while, but what Claude is doing is telling us, so I'm using the writing plan skill, and a skill is a set of instructions that Claude uses in order to do things. The writing plan skill is focused on writing. To create the implementation plan, first I need to read the existing tool test pattern so the plan's code matches the code base exactly. That's another big piece of this puzzle, folks. It's writing code. AI is creating code to do the work. So the more you understand the code, the more you use the terminology and concepts around code, the better. Now the process spec validator template, so the plan's process documentation conforms to validate spec. Validator requires sections, purpose, when to use, inputs, outputs, run procedure verification, common pitfalls, relationship to other specs, and a change log, and have everything to write a complete code exact plan. This is the difference between me and most other people, or people like me and most other people. I'm using AI to create code and consistency across what I'm doing and not just asking for one-offs. Are there situations where I ask for one-offs? All the time. When I create images, thumbnails, like for this class, I hop into ChatGPT, say, hey, give me, here's a description for a course. Go ahead and use my image. Usually ask me to upload it and create a thumbnail for it. Okay, that's a one-off. I really don't need a process for that. Would I benefit? Sure, if I wanted consistency across the board, but that's not that big of a deal for me. So if you want consistency, how do you get consistency? You start by putting together all of these rules and everything else that help to create that. So let me go in here, and while this thing cooks, we're going to do see what some other options here. I'm going to go ahead and take this, And let's just go over to our friend ChatGPT, and I'm going to say create an image to support this content. And there we go. All right, so now this is writing the plan. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Plan complete and saved. It's 10 tasks in the CLI, image specification, all this happy stuff. Now, this is where we have to make a decision in order to execute on the plan. So now we have the plan. We can go ahead and open it up here first, take a look at it. Superpowers, plans from our specification. So this specification led to this plan. This plan now, let's go ahead and actually look at it. Stand-up image production is a governed process. Again, not a one-off thing. Here's the architecture, there's the logic, the CLI, global constraints, font stack. This is sweet. File structure, I love this, right? File structure is important. This tells us where things are going to live. We do things on issues and branches. We're not talking about that, but basically it's tasks. Here is the code that's going to write some tests for us when these images are created, the tools are used. Right, this images.javascript file is what we're going to use. And this isn't necessarily a coding class. It helps to know code. It helps to know code, not how to code, but to know code and to read code and understand what's going on here, right? So I'm not going to go into that, but taking a basic JavaScript class can always help. So here's the minimal importation. It's going to import some information from the YAML file. It's got some variables or constants here that's going to use. Exporting, those are functions that's going to use to validate and do some other things. Yada, yada, a whole bunch of cool code there. Running tests to verify it passes. Committing the image. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Big, huge document here. Again, I've done this enough to trust what this is doing. I'm also, because I'm using the command line and I'm seeing the files that are created and reading, I'm going to see pretty closely what's going to happen with this output. So this is cool. I like this. Now what it's asking us is if we want the execution of this plan to be sub-agent driven or inline execution. We're going to use sub-agent driven. And while that happens, I don't know how best to explain it. Sub-agent driven is, I guess the best way to explain it would be multiple agents doing work versus the inline, which is just one at a time, offering us up to review. Again, I trust what's being created here, the process, and it's something that we can always go back and look to. Okay. This is quite possibly the absolute worst image of all time when it comes to explaining things, right? This is where I think it's also important for us to understand that what AI gives us should not ever be considered good. When we talk about graphic design and visual communication, there are so many principles that I think some people take for granted. Hierarchy, which is how things are organized on the page. Contrast, which is part of how we use contrast to indicate hierarchy, like larger things are more important. Brighter things tend to bring our eyes, higher contrast things bring our eyes to different places. It's not bad. The future is still being written. Choose a technology, research, right? Some of this text is not going to meet accessibility standards for readability. Number two, there's a lot of text on this. And then all that text would require some alt text to kind of explain it. We're going to have a timeline here. So let's just do this. Remove all text. Why not? See what happens. And what I'm doing over here in ChatGPT is I'm going ahead and I'm creating a generic image to start from to use as reference. So I'm going to go back and forth a couple times with ChatGPT, figuring out exactly how this thing might look for us. And then we can use that image as a reference throughout the rest of the course for some of these photorealistic images. I still think ChatGPT does the best job with photorealistic images. That's just because I don't want to pay for something else. All right, all right. Hope everybody out there is doing fine, doing well. Let's see here. So what's going on? Sub-agent driven it is. It's going to use Pandoc. We've got that. Pandoc is a document conversion software application. There's no remote. That basically means there is a remote. So I'll skip GitHub issue creation generation. Oh, there's not a remote for the actual Forge process right now, or software. There is for the course itself. We'll talk about all that stuff when we get into deployment, which we will not be hitting today. Understands the templates. Where is there? No, there is. What's going on here? Should I talk about that? I hit Shift Command period. You'll see. Yeah. So this is a Git repository. So it is using issues here. No remote. Oh, there is no remote. So these are all of these things are being tracked. That's what's going on here. There is no GitHub connected to this repository folder. We'll, again, talk about that later. It's running task 1. This is nice. It's seen. It's using superpowers, right? Task 1 brief, task 1 report, 7 of 7, generating the review package and dispatching the task reviewer. So all that's happening right now is the AI is distributing and doing the work for us, not to create the image, but to create the process by which images are going to be created. Like, what do we not like about, well, let's start with what do we like about this image here? This image, cannot click on it. Won't get bigger now. There we go. The image is inclusive. I think I like the image itself, which is why I said remove the text. The heading works pretty well. It's at the top and it's larger. I like that. The imagery and iconography around here, this is nice, I think, but I'd rather have this timeline separated from this image. Historians' questions: who benefited, who paid, why this and not that. Around 1750, a world running on muscle, water, and wind. Too much. There's too much information here, right? We want to keep this simple. Here we go. There is the image. You'll notice it did make some changes, slight changes. Obviously made everything bigger. I kind of like this, right? I don't not like this right now. So let me go ahead and I'm going to download this. You'll notice it has ChatGPT as a file name. That's horrible. We'll come in here. We're going to go to our GitHub. We have our Forge charters, courses. Let's go into our courses. We'll go into course design, and I'm going to create a new folder, references. I think that's how you spell references. And here we'll go. We will put this image. What should we call this image? Let's call this History of Technology. All right. We ourselves are not going to put this PNG in place. We'll go ahead and let the computer do that for us later. Okay, lots of stuff happening here. This is fine. Reading all of this, right? So this is changing the directory here. It's accessing some files. It's running some things. It's using some packages, external packages to do the work. Again, a decent overview understanding of technology will really help this for all of you out there who are really trying to better understand and better make things happen here. So let's go ahead now and create a description for this image style that we can reference to create other images. We're going to do a test here, right? Because again, oh, sweet. Look at that's beautiful, right? Here we go. There we go. Overall goal, create images that feel like they belong. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Let's see what's happening here. Task 2 is working. A couple things for you to know and see here, maybe in the command line interface. CTX, that is the context window. I believe that you can turn that on and off. It's something, yeah, context /context. That'll turn on this context window so you can see how full your context window is. Again, these AIs, like the human brain, can only access so much at a time. The context window, if it gets full, it compresses, loses things. Managing that content window is just as important as anything else when it comes to doing robust tasks. Right now, we're only filled up to about 18%, so we're fine. Opus, that's the model that we're using. Some people tell me to do something different, use something cheaper. I don't care at this point. All right. So here, down here, we can actually see what's going on. General purpose. All right, so now I have this information here. And let me say, create an image of a teddy bear. Why not? My bet is that because the context window here for ChatGPT has that image and that description that we just put in it, that teddy bear should probably look and feel like it belongs in our course. Now, content-wise, that may be debatable, right? Boom, 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 boom. And if I were to do this like as a real course, this is like an all-day thing, isn't it? This would take forever. But, oh, there we go, cozy teddy bear. Ooh, look, my phone told me this image was done, right? So does this teddy bear feel like it fits here? Maybe. Let's go over here. Create an image of a teddy bear. See what happens. Tecnologica y Sociedad. Where is that coming from? Golden hour sunlight transition for lighting, hyper-realistic digital cinematic painting. It really didn't follow that, did it? We'll see what this does. I've seen this happen before when I've been creating images, is that it will stick with that consistent style. So, right, we can see the difference here, right? This is probably leaning into the mood here. Now let's do this. Boom, shalak, lock, boom. Let me go ahead and grab this. Why can't I grab all that? Well, whatever. This will be fine. Grab, oh, I guess copy here. ChatGPT. Create image of a teddy bear using this guide. There you go. Now we'll see what happens. Task 2 is approved, logging and moving to task 3, which is the verification. Task 3 is done. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Keep on trucking. A lot of the things that you do early on with your build process will take time because you're designing, you're planning, you're executing multi-step processes, or having AI execute these multi-step processes. Once these tools are built, everything will move a lot faster. If I were to go ahead and build a course right now with this content or with this system, it would go really quickly. Right now, because we're building a new process, this is what's taking the most amount of time here. So if you have questions, please drop them into the comments. Again, hit me up on the LinkedIn. I'm going to wrap up as soon as this tool is done. Oh, there you go. Oh, haha, look at that. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so this is where we see, here's a little bit of an issue, but this is kind of cool, right? Kind of cool. Change the frame and everything else. So now what am I realizing, right? Simplify this, generalize, update this. This means what you put in, hopefully, to produce more, to be, what's the best way to phrase this? Be more generalized. There we go, there we go. Again, I didn't read that at first. I just kind of copy pasted, but here we go, here we go. We're not going to try Codex here. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Now we'll copy this. Oh, there we go, ChatGPT. Create image of a teddy bear using this style guide. Now we'll see what happens. So we've gone from this guy to this guy. This would be your more general feel, right? This would be your more warmy, earthy feel. This is definitely one that it took that original image. There's some cool stuff going on in here, right? I like the bridges as a metaphor too. That might actually be better than our OG image, right? It's kind of like a road between the two. There's no bridges. Maybe see, and this is where sometimes the playing and the messing around generates potentially some cool ideas, right? So there we go. Why did it not create the image? Create image. Create an image of a teddy bear. Use this style guide. What's interesting is my friend told me the other day that we should start using XML as a format. Why, oh, why, oh, why? Put this in your context window. This is interesting. Task 4 is done. Sweet, 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 done. Okay, so now create image of a teddy bear. We'll see what happens, right? Let me go back over here, ChatGPT. What is the best way to input what I want you to do? Let's run here and see what it says. Creative brief, a brief. Tell me how to think. Yeah, okay. What about using XML? So here we can take a look at what XML is. Well, again, this is taking forever. And why doing this live is probably not the best idea to build things, right? To use things maybe. Well, build session, we'll obviously have to build things, but there we go. Image spec doc, task 4 approved, 2 minor. This is scan branch, not blocking, okay. Here we go, create a LinkedIn post. Let's actually take this right now. Let's put in this XML. Let's see what happens. So create a LinkedIn post, audience, local education, workforce leaders, direct, thoughtful, slightly provocative. That's me. I believe AI will expose weak education systems and reward people who can think, communicate, and adapt. Requirements, Northwest Ohio, include future of work and QA. Okay, avoid buzzwords, avoid sounding angry. I should do that for my life. Outputs, oh, okay, sweet. I'm going to tell you the truth. AI isn't going to replace our education system. It's going to reveal it. For years, we've been able to hide behind memorization, standard tests. AI changes that. Future of work demands this isn't a technological problem. Education. Okay, sweet. So what am I going to do, folks? You may not realize it, but this is how your boy works. One of the ways that your boy works. I'll come over here into my beautiful LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. And I'm just going to paste this. The secret's out, folks. Mike Vanderpool uses AI. Now, a lot of the times what I do is I'll go ahead and start with my own sentence or two about what I want to create, but I could actually put that into that tool then, right? There we go. There we go. I would put that into this tool, my initial prompt, right, into that markdown file here, or I'm sorry, XML file, and say goal, tone, maybe in the request, it would be topic, right? Context is probably, yeah, I would put my own prompt in the context window. That could be kind of cool. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So hello, if you're out there, how's it going? I am letting Claude build something for me. It's taken forever. I Really did not plan this well, but that's fine. We're not going to get through freaking anything here this afternoon, but that's okay. There's our teddy bear, right? Okay, so let's talk about what just happened, right? So the first thing that we did is we created this image from our course source, which was really just these 4 paragraphs here. I said create an image. It gave us this image here. We said, hey, remove the text. Awesome, awesome, awesome. It gave us this. Then I asked for a master visual style guide, which was very robust, probably too robust for what we needed. We'll see that in a second. And then I asked within the context to create a teddy bear. It gave us that. Then I went in raw and I had it create a teddy bear. And this gave us a more general version of a teddy bear. We can see the difference between these two, right? This feels like it fits our tone. This one doesn't. Then I took that visual style guide and said, create an image of a teddy bear. And it actually combined all of the everything together here to create a pretty fascinating image, right? I actually really like this image. For me, this is pretty cool. Copy that image. You know, I should probably just have added that image to my prompt, or to my post. But anyway, so then I'm like, okay, there's too much in that context window. So what did I do? I came in here and I said, okay, take this big, long everything that you gave me for my style guide and update it to be more generalized. Then I took that. I tried to create an image using that. It wasn't working. So then I said, hey, take this text and use it as reference for future images. So it updated its memory to do this. I've never clicked on this before. This is its memory. This is kind of sweet. You frequently work at the intersection of AI, blah, 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 image generation style. This is what I prefer. Okay, so this is basically the context window for this chat. I like this now. This is similar to that context window that we were talking about in our good friend Claude here that is running. Step 5 is approved. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Here we go. Here we go. I took this then, and once this context was in the cinematic narrative realism, this is the image of the teddy bear. This image here, if I were to drop it into the content of a course that used this as a starter image, it would probably feel pretty like it belonged, right? Hey, what is up? What is up? Hi, Shu. Thank you for stopping in. I'm trying to learn math and physics from scratch because I want to be a hard tech entrepreneur. Very cool. I like that. Hard tech is definitely a place to start playing in because none of this stuff works without hard tech. And there's my picture of the teddy bear. And you know, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to save image as. I'm going to throw this on my desktop just because. I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to go ahead and blah, blah, blah. I'll just delete that post. Actually, I'm not going to delete it. Can I edit this? I don't think I can add an image after it's created. Yeah, so I'm just going to grab the text, Control C. Y'all are seeing under the hood here. How should I learn more effectively? That's a great question. How to learn more effectively? Build things and prototyping things. That is by far the best way to learn, I think, especially when it comes to hard tech. I would start probably by taking some things apart. That was probably another really good way for you to start building hard tech. Or ChatGPT, I want to be a hard tech entrepreneur. I have no idea how to get started. Oh, so not knowing is good. Hard tech entrepreneur, that's specific, right? Robotics, AI. I would try to find an AI or a robotics camp near you. I would buy a drone. I would maybe invest in like a Raspberry Pi. I would start taking some things apart and putting some things together, right? So this is what it knows about me, which is different than what it knows about you, but I understand education, AI, yada, yada. If I were designing your career from scratch, I'd ignore startup ideas for 6 months and I'd become obsessed with one industry, manufacturing automation, right? So robotics, like you're not going to be able to know all of the everything. What I think you should probably do is do a general survey, and then whatever like instinctively you want to know more about, that's what you're going to actually follow down. So this is all more about me than you, but this would actually be the plan. And yeah, I mentioned Raspberry Pi. all these other things that you could work with and play with. I would also potentially look at using and learning some type of 3D printing if you don't know that. Hope that helps. I think how many, oh, here, this is cool. BTW is, by the way, how many steps is this process? There we go. The pipeline the image work slots into is 14 stages. Yeah, no. I mean the task that you're working on now. Oh, it's 10 tasks. Sweet. Oh my goodness. Task 6 is done. We should probably just stop this and pause this. Yeah, I'm gonna go home, folks. This was quite possibly the well, I helped one person. I think Elshu, I helped you, and if I helped you, that's great. This tool, we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. I'll actually go live tomorrow night and maybe check this, right? Ooh, the reviewer surfaced a real governance contradiction. It's plan mandated. Before escalating, we verify the exact stage 6 sales. So I present. Okay. So anyway, long story short, I am building a tool that will allow me to rebuild robust curriculum. LinkedIn is the best place to find me. That link will be kind of there right below. So I'm hanging out there all the time. Don't think of yourself as someone trying to found a hard tech company. Think of yourself as someone becoming the kind of engineer entrepreneur who can't help but discover hard tech opportunities because you're constantly building and learning. The company is often the outcome of that process, not the starting point. That's freaking genius. That's genius. So here we go. We ran into a conflict. This is cool because this is going to tell us some stuff. I need to read this. I'm not going to read this right now. I'm actually going to shut it down. I'm going to go take off. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll keep this series going, and we'll continue to make it happen. All right. Peace. Take care, man.